Your Excellencies, Honorable Minister, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, this is the 5th year of existence of EULISA and the 4th conference that we organize, and we are extremely proud to see that each year we can get together more and more practitioners and participants from the public and private sector across Europe and beyond. A safe and secure Europe is a priority for Estonian Presidency of the Council and has been ever since a priority also for EULISA. That is why we chose the topic for this year's conference to reflect these shared values and to examine how going digital can strengthen further Europe's internal security and border management. As practitioners, we are interested to focus on hands-on aspects of digital solutions that affect law enforcement, border and asylum authorities, interoperability, and use of mobile technologies to deliver security. But before we get into the details, there is one key question that many people ask today. And the question is, are we really going to translate in bits and bytes all the elements of the real world that we see today? Digitalization and remote control are part of our daily life. Ordering a taxi, or booking a flight, or making a purchase of product online. And the cloud services are something that we consider as a commodity today, being part of our daily life in 21st century. So, yes, we are going digital.
It should not come as a surprise to anyone, but the key priorities for the presidency are to focus on promoting digital and a safe and secure Europe. I'm very happy to see that all of it comes together so comprehensively in this conference organized by EULISA. And when it comes to digital security, well, in 2012 we had already the 3 systems which EULISA manages today: Schengen Information System, Visa Information System, and Eurodac. Ladies and gentlemen, you know that Estonia has placed the emphasis for some time on IT systems for secure citizen government and government communication, with a clear focus on innovation and developing methods for a safe exchange of information. I'm happy to see the same progress also now on the European Union level.
I don't have to repeat the importance of smooth information exchange between member states, EU agencies, law enforcement and judicial authorities. Going digital when it comes to our security is a must, to effectively tackle the security threats of today and of the future, and to live up to our citizens' expectations. EULISA is at the very heart of this.
The points raised for today is what is digital transformation and what it is for. I think one could say that it is happening, nonetheless what we are doing. Because by end of day, it's the private sector, the business sector, who is driving the vehicle in a sense, and the government has basically an option of whether to be on the journey or be on the side. It is about experimenting, prototyping, and this is something that the governments usually are not that well been doing, but it is something that we need to do more, and we need to give also possibility to fail in those processes. Again, it is a shift in terms of how we think, how we lead, how we manage our people in our organizations, but giving the possibility, hey, it is okay to fail, but we need to learn out of that.
There is a common phrase I heard from time to time. It's a digital transformation is not IT. Well, I feel that this is, we will go for a deeper definition on that. From my point of view, digital transformation is not only about IT. So IT is the basement in which we build the digital transformation, in which the business is providing new value for the users. In our case, the users are the European citizens. We, at the end, Europol, the mission of Europol is to make Europe safer. And for sure, police officers and citizens are the final recipients of our services. So IT is a core part of the digital transformation. But it's clear that with the digital transformation, we go much further.
I think as an IT world, we should realize that within some years, we will be like electricity. We don't talk here today about electricity transformation. Even if we change from 220 volt and 2 phases to 440 volt and 4 phases, nobody cares as long as electricity is there. I think that's the same thing with IT. IT is from time to time a business driver, but it should be the business who drives things. I think it's more the creativity to combine all kinds of technologies that counts, and not just combine them for the beauty of things, but combine them to support business ideas and to support business value.
Technology, again, it is something that is very addictive. We get used to it. We are so attached to it, and it is foremost to build up that at some point we'll be looking at information systems as electricity. But in order for us to do that, we need to build those systems in a way that actually they function as electricity.
Why now? Why is it now that we're thinking about interoperability as opposed to several years ago?
Yeah, I mean, I guess there are different ways to look at it. If you look at it from a very simple perspective, I mean, as long as you have only one system, you don't need interoperability. You just have to use that one system. And of course, at the European level, the most relevant and most operational system is so far the Schengen Information System. Because Eurodac is very specific and it doesn't contain biographic information. It's only there to be able to identify the country of first arrival of an asylum seeker or an irregular migrant. So the old Eurodac, if I can call it like that, is not really a subject for interoperability. And VIS is really at the other side of the spectrum, and it's a long distance to connect the dots here. So from that, again, very basic perspective, I believe the debate comes up because we just developed more systems. And therefore the question on how all this hangs together becomes much more relevant. Of course, more from, let's say, the political or broader perspective, it's also clear that we've had many cases over the last few years, notably in connection to terrorism, where, for instance, the problem of multiple identities, identity fraud, was at the root of the problem.
The European information landscape is growing bigger, bigger and bigger, and with new systems coming in place, there are coming also overlaps in place where it makes sense to think about interoperability, so where there are operational interconnections between the systems. My intention was today to focus very much on identity as one aspect where we have this overlap. Tonu just mentioned the passenger information that we collect for flights, but also for cruise ships. We discussed the aspect of analytics, like between customs, but which also takes place in the PNR sector to create pattern to identify risky travel behavior. As the European information landscape grows, the question of whether there are interconnections or not is increasingly not to be answered this black and white, but it has to be thoroughly examined case by case, and we all together have to identify and to find the right answers case by case, and very, very focused on concrete operational needs.
I mean, when you you prepare a system towards interoperability, you don't change anything into that system, but you just build up an interface, so you don't lose anything from that system. Also was a little bit the question before, as I answered, is when you change a system. So we are not changing any existing systems. We're just preparing them for eventual interconnectivities and eventual interoperability. We just build upon them, we improve them in such a way. So we are not losing flexibility. Some of the standardizations or virtualization, or in the future shared infrastructure, is not mandatory, but it will help. It will help in the future at the administration or the management level of the technical part.
There are hundreds of thousands of practitioners out there who don't care about silos. I mean, the police officers, the border guards, all the people that use these systems, they don't care about silos, and they should not be concerned about it either, because it's indeed a legal and partly also a technical issue, but it's all behind the screen. What, if you think about the future, what should happen is that the border guard and the police officer does not have to think about what system he or she can consult or is allowed to consult. The check is made on the device, the information comes back. In some cases it will be with 2 or 3 systems, it may be 5 systems, maybe 25 systems, depending on the access rights and the precise configuration of that access for that specific user, and that is what matters.
I took the opportunity of being here in Tallinn to discuss this issue with the Prosecutor General, lovely Perling, and her team yesterday in a meeting, because we want to, of course, benefit from the experience that here in Estonia is quite evident in terms of dealing with digitalization in this domain. And she said a few things which stuck with me. Out of the meeting came a few things that I thought were interesting from a point of view of interoperability. She said, always involve practitioners from the start, whenever you are designing an IT system, which I think is very wise advice. The other thing which came out is focus on the use cases for the system. Make sure that what you are developing is indeed something that is needed by the practitioners. Make sure that it works in such a way that practitioners can actually work with this as well. And one of the other things which came out of that is something which is so obvious that we tend to forget it. We also need linguistic interoperability.
Then we provide easy access to cross-border justice for citizens, and therefore we thankfully use the e-justice portal for an access point, but also there's many systems already available, national portals available in some of the member states. And then we have a digital infrastructure for secure cross-border communication. We do not really stick to the security based on secure lines. Mostly it's about encryption of the data itself. So I think it's very important. It's not only about the connection of the lines, it's also about making your data very secure.
If we have a fundamental rights compliance system, whether in the home affairs or justice field, it should be complying with all of the following as listed there. So the purpose limitation principle, who can access the data, retention periods. Also, interoperability should not lead to collecting or processing of more data than is necessary. And of course, this buzz phrase that's been around for a long time, privacy by design or data protection by default, as a precondition for ensuring interoperable systems are in line with data protection principles. So all of this are the basic fundamental rights principles that one can consider when designing a system. Whether they actually work in practice is something that needs rigorous checking. So on the one hand, why the Fundamental Rights Agency really tries to underline that when a system is properly working, it has huge fundamental rights benefits, such as looking for missing children or trafficked individuals.